Spectrevision Radio.
This fourth dimensional layer that is covered with fear, this plasma, it is calling out. It is our cosmic mother. It is Mary Magdalene. It is calling out for us to help heal it. And by healing ourselves and our memories, we're healing this field together. And this field, almost like a sleeping giant, is starting to wake up. I'm Dana Kippel, and this is Heart Snacks. Hey guys, welcome to Heart Snacks with Dana Kippel, Metaphysics, Magic, and Mental Health on the Spectrevision Radio. Today we are going to talk about whatever I want to talk about. It is the first episode of season 2. And yes, surprise, surprise, I am now with Spectrevision Radio. I'm super excited to be with them and join them on this journey of amazing life. So I kind of wanted to get into a lot today about this new year of 2026 that people are calling the year of the horse, but I would like to personally rebrand it as the year of the unicorn. By the way, you can see behind me, this is beautiful Portland, Oregon. I'm coming to you from. It is the morning. This is when I think best and have my best creativity. A little bit about me first. For those of you who don't know me and are joining on season 2, my name is Dana Kippel. I was originally raised in New York, and I have lived in Florida and Los Angeles, and now I'm residing in Portland because I'm obsessed with nature and the coast, and it's like the city of weird and roses, which is perfect metaphysical vibes for me. And I will get more into my story another time. But basically, I like to fuse together the metaphysical, which is anything beyond the physical, and then mental health, because if we don't fuse everything with our mental health, then what are we doing? Because it all comes back to us and how it applies to our life anyway. So we definitely should be integrating the things we're learning. And then, of course, magic, which is once we start to heal our traumas and begin to work on our mental health, we discover, our unique secret magic powers. I've had it happen, and I know it's happened to other people. Your intuition grows as you become more reconnected with your body and yourself. So pretty cool stuff. So, year of the unicorn. Why am I rebranding it that? I don't know about you guys, but I had a very rough 2025. It started off the year with my dad dying, which sucked royally. I moved back to Florida from Los Angeles to help take care of my mom and, be with my dad when he was in the hospital. He was in a coma before he passed. And I feel like grief opens a very interesting window of love, because when you're feeling grief, it's because you had a love for the person, right? So it's this weird transition liminal space time where you're almost faced to face yourself and to face the love you have for people and your fear of death, which is really just your love of life, right? Because if we weren't scared to die, we wouldn't love life. It is facing your own inner aliveness through the gateway of death. And there's a lot of things this kind of leads up to with the year of the unicorn, with the fact that you have to go through this darkness of some sort to get to the light. You got to go through the tunnel at some point. You can't just be in the light all of a sudden, right? And I associate horses more like with darkness, like a dark power kind of, which is awesome and great. And like our inner rage, our inner power, our inner dark magic, the unknown, which is all awesome. But because I feel like we are getting into this, what some people call the age of Aquarius, but I like to call it the age of neutrality, the age of the divine child. You can also call it the age of like integrated Aquarius, but it's kind of this age we're stepping into where people are remembering who they are and they're beginning to be more comfortable being themselves. But when you start to be yourself, you have a lot of loss and grief along the way because you lose friends that, you were able to keep up with when you were, on the surface, living your life as this maybe semi-fake person. Like, I've always prided myself on being authentic, but I've always had this tinge of like people pleasing and fakeness where I'm not telling people how I actually really feel when I'm feeling it in the moment. This is how I was. And, I would have these friends where they would just be telling me their problems and talking to me. And in my mind, I would wonder, why am I friends with this person? This is a completely non-reciprocal relationship. But I found myself being very attached to them, very codependent, because I was really searching for something that I was looking for in myself, which was warmth and love and connection. And if I didn't first refine that in myself again, because it's always there, but I had to recognize it, which I feel like I recently had that journey of. If I didn't find it in myself, I was just going to attract other people that also didn't have it in themselves. So we're just like talking heads, talking to each other, looking for connection, like walking ghosts, basically. I felt like a ghost in life. And I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but that's how I felt. So, yeah, that is an interesting thing that I feel like we're coming into in this year of the unicorn, of finding our own authenticity, remembering who we are, standing up for ourselves, demanding reciprocal relationships out to the universe so we can get that back. And not really like, yes, demanding, claiming, like, I deserve that. I deserve someone who also will pick where they want to go to eat, someone who will come over to my house, that I don't just have to go to their house all the time, someone that listens to me and asks me about my life. I'm not just listening about their life and their problems. And we also, someone that we champion each other and not just gossip, but talk about ideas, how we want to change the world, the businesses we want to open. Even in relationships, it's like I spent my entire life feeling like I was auditioning for guys to like me without even thinking for a moment, do I like them? How are their values and choices? And I knew that most of these guys did not line up with me. And all of a sudden, I still found myself in this thing like a game, like, oh, I need to get them. I need them to validate me. I need to be with them. It was almost like it was an addiction. And that's a little bit what I want to talk about too, is addictive behaviors I've had in myself. And I think a lot of us have. Oh, my shoulders hurt. Sorry, it's rolling out my shoulders. But let me start really quick and then we'll go back to that because I'm just riffing here. The year of the unicorn, why I want to call it that instead of the horse, is the unicorn is like a rainbow ball of sunshine. The unicorn stands for something very special. The unicorn, back in, I think, the 17th or 18th century, there's something called the unicorn tapestries. And they were a bunch of tapestries that were painted or made by this anonymous artist, and he initialed them A.E. I think it might stand for ether and a bunch of other things that have to do with plasma, the fourth state of matter. But I'll get into that at a later episode. If you don't know what plasma is, just tune in for that because it's a magical thing way beyond science. But this person who made the unicorn tapestries, in the unicorn tapestries, there is this unicorn, and in each tapestry, the unicorn is, in a different situation. So in one of them, this virgin maiden is kind of petting the unicorn and has, I wouldn't say control over the unicorn, but is in a harmonious relationship with the unicorn. And then from behind her, this guy is creeping in the woods, staring at her, like trying to get their power. And then in another one, the unicorn is bowing its horn in the water and purifying the water. And then in another tapestry, yes, I'm from New York, I said water. And another unicorn tapestry, the unicorn is captured by all these men, like wanting to stick it with like knives or swords. And the actual meaning of a unicorn is the unicorn will reveal itself to a pure maiden. And for a long time, there were legends that the unicorn was being hunted because it could, have it had magic of immortality. There is even a movie made by A24, I think earlier last year it came out, called The Death of the Unicorn, where this rich family takes the unicorn and like drains it of its beautiful purple blood and tries to make an immortality medicine out of it and hurts the unicorn. And in the end, the unicorns come and Save the Unicorn. I just ruined it. I'm so sorry. There's more that happens, though. I would definitely watch it. But the point I'm trying to make here is the unicorn will only reveal itself to someone that is a pure maiden or a virgin like Mary Magdalene, right? But what does that actually mean? A virgin back in the day was not someone who had not had sex or not made any mistakes. It is simply just someone, and I'm kind of taking this as my own meaning too. It is just someone who knows who they are. And there's a book. The book is called In the Dark Places of Wisdom by Peter Kingsley. And basically he speaks about how the virgin was really someone who was just being within themselves without, and I'm paraphrasing here, trying to get money or power or fame or someone to like them. It is someone who knows who they are and is just doing things to do them. They're just being. They are authentic. And this year of the unicorn is just about being ourselves. It is not even about like taking our power and like being like, hurrah. It is a subtle power. It is a soft power. It is our inner magic and calmness and peace of knowing who we are and also being frivolous and whimsical and making mistakes. Like, I'll just reveal my lovely, hilarious dating life for a moment. I have made so many mistakes dating the wrong people, but they weren't the wrong people. They were reflecting exactly what I was missing within myself at the time. And every person that would reject me or wouldn't work out with me, it was a callback to loving myself and looking within myself because I was looking for characteristics in men that I was missing in myself. And I realized recently that I needed to become that. And it doesn't mean I'm not worthy of love now. It was also realizing I'm worthy of love right now. I don't need to be healed to be worthy of love. Because, I always thought, number one, I was not worthy of love. I had to earn love because I wasn't healed. I was damaged and broken from my traumatic childhood. And no one would date someone like me who had like a crazy mind. And then, I also was dating men who made me feel alive because I wasn't feeling alive myself. And usually when you're looking for that, you're going to date some, chaotic people who put you on a roller coaster and you're probably putting them on a roller coaster. It's not just like I was not a victim. Like, yes, maybe if I was cheated on and stuff, but like I saw those things coming and I was like being controlling and I didn't deserve to be cheated on. But, I had my part in every relationship is what I'm trying to say. And they were all toxic and I was toxic. And I just realized that I woke up to the fact literally in the last few months that I need to not learn to be whole within myself, but recognize and remember I am whole. I am worthy of love. I don't need to earn love, no matter how messed up I am or was. And because we're all messed up, we're all human, which is the point. The unicorn in their authenticity, it is not about being perfect. It is about being true. And truth changes every day. And the people I dated weren't mistakes. They were beautiful lessons. And I had amazing times with them. And I also had the worst times with them. And does life suck because you had the worst times with it? No. It's just a duality experience we have in life. So I feel like I'm talking very fast, but this is just how I am, but I'm going to try to slow down. The sun is rising in the background and it is so beautiful. Also, segue, I am going to be filming on a way better camera and mic, but I was very lazy this morning and I couldn't set it up right because I wasn't lazy. I just did not order that right HDMI cable, so I couldn't figure it out. And you should have seen me. I was yelling at myself. Speaking of being authentic, I was yelling into the ether at myself for messing up. But I just like had so much I wanted to say, and I was like, I'm just recording this on my computer. But usually for those who are seeing me on video, it's going to be more like this, where we look like we're in the sky, not where basically for those of you listening on podcast, there's plants in the background of my setup. And then there's the city of Portland with the sunrise. And then like there's the white wall on both sides of these like really tall plants behind me. And I'm wearing a yellow sweatshirt. It says the mystery spot from Santa Cruz. That place is awesome. But yeah, I want to I post this on YouTube too, and I'm gonna make it more like I'm floating in the sky where the camera's closer to me because I have a Sony FX2. Anyway, that was a little segue commercial for nothing. So, back to the year of the unicorn and being authentic. I feel like I kind of have been rebirthed over the last 2 months. And now I'm telling you this, I'm recording this on January 12th, and I feel like many people are going through this, so I'm just gonna share my experience. Maybe someone will feel less alone by me sharing it. In November and December, and I've been someone who has never had health issues, I have had so many weird health issues. I had and guys, sorry for guys listening to this. Well, I'm not sorry, but you won't relate to this, but I had a regular period for the first time in my life, and I actually thought that I was just, like, bleeding and dying, and I went to the doctor, and it was this huge thing and kind of hilarious. And then I started to have pains all over my body, starting in my head and my neck, working down then to my ribs, my hips, my hip and my leg, like, stopped working for a few days. I also broke out in the very weird rash that, if I went to the doctor, I'd probably be diagnosed with some immune disorder. But I knew better than that. And I'm not saying I'm against doctors, whatever works for anyone. But I listened to my body and my higher self. And I also did get checked out just in case. When I was, having the irregular period, I was like, okay, am I dying? Um, but I was not, but I was dying. My old self was dying. It was integrating, not dying. But yeah, I broke out in this weird like stress rash, and I was also dealing with not a breakup, but like just, someone who I liked or we liked each other, and then it just went way too fast and did not work out at all, of course. And but it brought up things in me that I didn't realize I still needed to, I don't know about work on, but recognize like how much I was needing self-love and also needing to like stay in my when find someone I like in the past, I will attract people because I'm very strong in what I want and who I am. But I will start to, in the past, get in old habits where I become what they want. And I almost like osmosis into their life. Like, I would always visit their family and I would start liking what they liked. Or I would, want to be with them a lot or just think about them a lot. Just get like an addiction, just get caught up in them. And why the heck did I bring this up? Well, anyway, that is what happened. And then, when that ended, because it was too much for the person and for me, but he said it first because I'm never the one to say those things first, which is a whole nother thing I'm working on. Um, when that happened, this is when I broke out in the rash. And what it brought up in me is the fact that I was literally looking for lust or love outside of myself. And because I was desperately seeking that and not wanting to be alone with my own thoughts, and it forced me to be alone with my own thoughts for the first time in a while because I had moved to Portland. I was new in Portland and I had been with my mom for a year after my dad died, and I never was technically like alone. And before that, I had a roommate in Los Angeles. Before that, I had another boyfriend. Um, that is one thing I've always struggled with in the past, which I'm learning to actually love now, is being alone and being by myself and being with my thoughts because that's where all the dark stuff is, right? And I think I faced a lot of that in 2025, the year of the snake. And I don't even know anything about astrology, actually, hilariously. But I do know it was, everyone was talking about shedding on TikTok in December, and I kind of caught on to that. But it was true. And I feel like a lot of people I'm talking to right now are kind of dealing with health issues and dealing with weird rashes and breakouts and a lot of things. And I just feel for all of you guys because it's scary. Like I thought I was dying. I didn't know what was going on with me. And I don't like the word ego death. I think it's more of a integration that's happening with all of us. I think right now in this year of the unicorn where we're remembering who we are and, re-becoming our pure selves, which just means our authentic selves, I think it's different than it used to be in the past, or it's maybe just like on a bigger scale where we're actually remembering our multidimensional selves. I think what's happening right now is we are in a state of recognizing our multidimensionality and the non-locality of our consciousness. And I know I'm getting into some, whimsical philosophical stuff here, but stay with me. So I'm just going to get into it. I have a framework, and I'm going to say this as like easy as I can today. I won't dive into it. That the fabric of our reality is made of something called plasma. There is plasma in science, which is the fourth state of matter. There is solid, liquid, gas, and then plasma, which is the most, malleable, where solid is the most solid, so we think. And my theory is very simple. There is a finer, a less dense, fifth, I wouldn't even call it a fifth state of matter because there's like 12 million states of matter, but there's a finer plasma that is more like a living ether that makes up the fabric of our reality. And just as plasma in science makes up 99.9% of visible matter, I believe that this plasma makes up, 99.9% of invisible matter. And I think it links to dark energy and dark matter as well. I think that these are just effects of this finer plasma field that makes up the fabric of our reality. And with that said, and this has been in like every religion, every mythology, there's this trinity or this like these three levels where there's like our reality. And then there is this intermediate, interstitial, liminal reality. And then there is this higher reality that some would call the fifth dimension, right below God, the realm of the angels, whatever you want to call it. But there's always been these like three layers. And I simply call them, 3D, our matter reality, our visual reality that we're all in right now, where most of us are in a survival consciousness state where we're living from our past and our trauma. Not all of us, but a lot of us are learning to get out of that. But basically, it's the state in this third dimensional reality where what you see is truth. Everything is solid or frozen, like the movie. But, most of us are learning to be in other dimensions of consciousness. So then there is a fourth dimensional plasma. You can call it the collective unconscious. I'm teaching a magic class where I call it the secret bridge. You can call it the Akashic field. It is a realm where there is more circular time, where there's backwards and forwards time. And they're both they're existing together, but just there's still time there. And this is the realm of our thoughts, our emotions. It is where our consciousness imprints memory, almost like on a record player. So, past, present, future is all there of all the timelines we're in. So, every decision we make can fractal off a new timeline. And this realm simply holds all of those. And then it also connects us to what some would call the fifth dimension. And these dimensions are perspectives of consciousness. Don't think about them in math, even though it does kind of correlate, funny enough. But this fifth dimensional space is where I believe all of our higher selves are. So, if there's like a pearl or a sun as our higher self and its rays, each of its rays are us in timelines in this little third and fourth dimension down here. Not down here because there's really no up and down, but that's kind of what it would be like. And in this fifth dimensional space, it is beyond time. That is how I view it. It is more about being and existing and experience. And, our higher selves are there. And some of us have seen this in meditation. And then some of us have been in the fourth dimensional space in meditation or in astral projection or when you take psychedelics. I've never done those, but a lot of you I'm sure have. Heart Snacks will be right back. There's a perspective of consciousness in the fourth dimensional state, where you're in what I would call fourth dimensional consciousness, which is where you're working more with backwards time and with astral projection, or maybe you're working on a traumatic memory from this past or from a past timeline, or just another timeline that you were in where you were like, killed in the ocean, so you're scared of the water. Um, and then you can be in a fifth dimensional state of consciousness where you're just being. You're just being your expanded self. You're getting ideas. You're in a flow state. That's more like fifth dimensional consciousness. But for, so I'll just keep going. Our higher selves in this fifth dimensional state are always giving us whatever we want and need. The thing is, we cannot receive those things if we're not in resonance with that. And this kind of Abraham Hicks talks about this too. But basically, the key to our free will, the key to our limitlessness, the key to receiving what we want. And by what we want and desire, I mean things that completely align with our higher self. So you can also receive things that align with your ego, right? People get those every day. And those things sometimes, turn out, we realize, to be not fulfilling. But if our soul wants to be fulfilled, I'm talking about those types of things that, what God dreams for us, or our higher self dreams for us, just these beautiful, like fifth dimensional, fresh, new ideas that have never been brought down to earth before. That's the beauty I'm talking about. And to receive those, they have to come through this tunnel, through this fourth dimensional, dark goddess, like Kali of creation and destruction. This fourth dimensional layer of our thoughts and our emotions has been demonized as the dark goddess, as the siren. It is covered with fear right now. And I kind of write this in my book. My book is called A New Force, Plasma Consciousness and the New Human Potential. This fourth dimensional layer that is covered with fear, this plasma, it is calling out. It is our cosmic mother. It is Mary Magdalene. It is calling out for us to help heal it. And by healing ourselves and our memories, we're healing this field together. And this field, almost like a sleeping giant, is starting to wake up. And I don't know if that means plasma would become more conscious, like our reality becomes more conscious and starts really working with us as awareness, or it's working with us just reflecting our consciousness, which is how it's been working. But basically what I'm saying is we receive whatever our subconscious wants, and our higher self thinks that's what we want. Our higher self communicates with us in this fourth dimensional space, what Mary Magdalene called gnosis, as well. This space, where she would communicate with Jesus. It's this space of this liminal space, this third space of I don't even know how to explain it, but that's this fourth dimensional space. We have to be coherent, because if we're decoherent, if we say we want, abundance, but we don't feel we deserve it in our emotions and real subconscious thoughts because of our limiting beliefs as children, we won't get those things. We will actually get the opposite, because our higher self is listening to our subconscious, which is telling it, no, don't give her that. We really don't. We don't deserve that. We're not worthy of that. Or, keep giving me, the same guy who, is emotionally unavailable, because that actually is what gets me going. That's what my subconscious would always frickin' say. So annoying. But now my subconscious is like, no, I'm worthy of someone who actually, has substance like me, and, is intelligent and sexy and funny and gives back and is reciprocal. Like, those people are out there, because if you're out there, they're out there. It's more that you're finding the wrong people because you subconsciously think you deserve that. And I'm making this about relationships because isn't everything about relationships at the end of the day? So when you can become more coherent with your subconscious, with this grander fourth dimensional plasma field, because your subconscious is like a mini 4-dimensional plasma field around your body as your biofield or your aura. So when you can become more coherent in this space, you and your higher self are best buddies. You are living as your multidimensional self. You are connected to the fifth, fourth, and third dimension, and you can vacillate between them all. And you don't have to be enlightened. You don't have to always be in that fifth dimensional space, because we're supposed to make mistakes. And this goes back to the year of the unicorn. We're supposed to be that divine fool, the sacred fool, the star and the fool, like where, you have your magic powers and then you're also foolish and you're experimenting and stumbling through life and, eating chocolate cake. You don't, not eating perfect either. When I first started getting these ideas, I wasn't eating clean. I was eating birthday cake pops from like Starbucks. Like everything is made of the same thing. So it's really like what we think about the things we're using. And it doesn't mean like, I know there's corporations that are hurting people out there and that's terrible. And we need to become definitely more sustainable as a country. But enjoy the damn chocolate cake like once in a while. Literally, there was this woman on her deathbed and she wrote a letter about how she wished she ate more ice cream and how she wished that she adventured more. And, I hope that this can be a reminder to really just live life to the fullest. And that means taking risks and making mistakes and dating the wrong people. And only through experience, not through what people tell you, not through what I tell you. Your life is your best teacher. Your guru is your life. It is reflecting on your past and making different choices for your future. And if you don't make different choices, you'll just continue to relive your past, which I did for 36 years, and that was not fun. Um, say. So let me talk about some other things. So yeah, like to me, the year of the unicorn is just about remembering your multidimensional self. It is also, ushering us into the divine child realm, which we're living in now, which is not divine feminine or masculine. So divine masculine, we've been in a patriarchy for like a cajillion years. Before that was a matriarchy where, goddesses and women kind of rule the world. And I think that's what tipped us into a patriarchy because the men were scared of the women and those kind of powers. And those powers were not integrated yet, right? There was a lot of fury and suppression for the feminine, but also the masculine, right? And this is about demonizing neither. This is about knowing that men and women and everyone in between are beautiful. We are all human. We all are made of love and joy, and we all are in pain. And we all have this hole inside of us that we're trying to fill. And we all act out in animalistic ways, men and women and everyone else. And this is about like the realm of the age of neutrality and non-duality, but also duality within that. And when you bring the feminine back in the equation and balance that with the masculine, so, the feminine is this like, your magic powers, your receptivity, your surrender, knowing you're not God, you're not controlling your reality, but you're co-creating reality with God or with your higher self, with the trinity of the third, fourth, to fifth dimension, the trinity of your higher self, God energy, and your, earthly self. Um, there's so many trinities, right? But it's about knowing that you're doing all that. And I got on a tangent again. But yeah, it is like, sorry, the divine child is, think about it. It's like a wise grandparent, the divine child. It's not just a goofy child. Like, yes, you're making mistakes, but you're also making mistakes from a wiser place. Like knowing this is like a play, knowing that we're supposed to play here, knowing we're supposed to bring heaven to earth and bring our joy down and expand it and embody it. We're not supposed to be enlightened. We'll be enlightened when we die. We're I hate that word. I really do. But we're supposed to be endarkened. We're supposed to go into the darkness and find our light there, right? You have to bend down your knees to jump up into the light, to go through the tunnel to be birthed. But it's not even about enlightenment or endarkenment. It really is about just the rainbow of both of those. And both of those are inside of this. And it's beyond enlightenment and endarkenment. It is just being. It is whimsicality. It is awe. It is curiosity. It is creating with the plasma, the ether of reality to live a life beyond your wildest dreams. It is, feeling your way through life rather than thinking your way through life. It is feeling first and then thinking after. And that is a strange concept for some of us who have been, sullied by logic. Logic is great when you apply it to feeling. And by feeling, I mean, not just emotions. I do mean emotions, but I mean sensing, getting the intuitional vibe of things, the feeling the vibration. That is the beingness. When you feel like with your ant tentacles something, you're feeling the vibration of things and you're, pondering over them and reflecting on them, before making a decision, perhaps. Um, but yeah, the divine child is, you know, knowing the greater picture, like even though people die and that this utopia, I don't think is about never making humans die. I think it's about learning how to be more creative with reality and knowing that life is precious and people do die in this reality, but we go on from here to other realities, to other dimensions of existence, and we never actually die. Our spaceship, our Merkaba, our fourth dimensional plasma bubble we're all in, that carries our consciousness once we leave this three-dimensional body. That carries our consciousness into the other dimensions. We have a spaceship at all times. Um, and there is something to be said for the growth we have here, we can kind of take with us. I think that is super, super true. And we continue to grow in every life. Um, we're in multiple timelines. We're a fractal and we're a shard of a larger diamond of self. And it's so beautiful. And we're a white and a black bird and a rainbow toucan. And we're all these things. And life is so beautiful and so painful. And everything else, it's life. And it's made of fear and it's made of bliss and everything in between that. And yeah, it's just like getting more in touch with that divine child and with that neutrality, not neutrality of not feeling, just the wiser neutrality of knowing there's a grander picture and that this is not the end, but all things also end. It's like living in paradox and being able to be in the unknown. And instead of like setting goals and intentions for your life is amazing. I obviously set goals and intentions for my life all the time, but it is about then surrendering that to this, plasma field of reality, surrendering that to your higher self, and then being in a state of receptivity where the mystery can bring it back to you in a way beyond your wildest dreams, beyond what you could have conceptualized or envisioned. It is about getting in touch with your higher self, being in your heart energy, grounding, letting, these real desires, these fifth dimensional desires come to you of what you really want in your essence, in your life that feels fresh, that feels expansive, that feels like you're not filling a hole, but that you're flowering from your own fertile soil. Like for me, it's like this plasma work and it's writing fantasy. Like I want to write a fantasy book and it's playing and doing improv and, going to camp as a child and laughing, like just things that make you feel like juicy. I don't know how else to say it. Um, but it is about figuring that out and then still not being attached to it per se, but giving that to the field, this field that has so much mystery in it, what you could call God, whatever you want to call it, giving it to the plasma and this ineffable energy and letting it kind of conceptualize something beyond what you could ever envision. And then it brings it back to you. And you're just, as you're going through life, you're all we're supposed to do is be ourselves and look out for like signs and feel our feelings. And we're in a constant communication with reality, with this plasma. It brings us synchronicities, it brings us signs. And our only job is to be us and be aware and be present and look at these signs and then deciding out of our free will, out of that fourth dimensional space, what meaning do I want to make out of that sign? And I have a funny story about that. Let's see if I can remember. Because this is really interesting and it's very layered. So I was having throat issues last year and I was scared of dying of throat cancer, but I knew in my heart I didn't have that. But it was really like my throat chakra was releasing like years of pent up, after a breathwork session. This is when I got the throat thing. years of like not speaking my truth. And it was like hoarse almost, or like hurting because of like all the shit I had in there that I had to get let out. And it went away, by the way. But I was having this fear, and then I went to get a massage, and in the massage room there was a magazine about one of the celebrities from the 80s. I forget his name, crap, but about him having throat cancer. And I was like, oh, it's a sign I have throat cancer. It's a synchronicity telling me I'm dying. But then I calmed myself down. I was like, let me be neutral about this. Let me create meaning out of this based on my, highest timeline. And I look at the whole magazine then after my massage. And the first part of the magazine was like how he lived such like an amazing free life. And then like how he's overcoming his throat cancer diagnosis or whatever. But I feel like it was telling me to more worry about living an amazing life and the fact that I did not have throat cancer, but it was almost laughing at me because when you think something, you're going to see it in your reality. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a synchronicity. The synchronicity might be attached to it, but whatever you think about, you bring about. So like, reticular activating system or whatever. You think about a red car, you buy a red car, you're going to see more red cars. That maybe is not the synchronicity. The synchronicity is the meanings you're making and like what's attached to that. So maybe when you're seeing that red, Danica, please relax. Sorry, my dog is barking. She thinks I'm correct. Maybe when you see that red car, like who is driving in it or what is around the red car? It's what we're not looking at that we need to be aware of. Like, did it pass like a Mexican restaurant and like really you're supposed to go in there? Like, were you passing that when you saw the red car? Hopefully that makes sense. Danica, be quiet. I'm making a podcast. So yeah, it's just about basically when it comes down to it, we don't need to figure out reality. We don't need to, I'm just going to let my dog bark. We don't need to figure out life. We don't need proof. We don't need, science and philosophers. We don't need to figure it out or prove anything, guys. But maybe that's fun too. I do love science and philosophers, and I consider myself both of those as well. But in the old days, even in science and philosophy, when it's like non-dogmatic, it's about creativity and being holistic and bringing everything in. And it's not about proof. It's because everything starts in the unproven. Everything starts in the unseen. It is about relationship, what meaning we want to create. We are the bearers of free will. And in this fourth dimensional space of thought and emotion, we decide what we physically see in this third dimensional space. We create the meaning of that. We are the meaning makers. Any event can happen outside of us, and we will choose our perspective of it, whether that is in survival consciousness or fourth dimensional consciousness, where we're maybe working on our trauma, but we also have this like ancestral magic thing, and we kind of know it's from our past, and we're in this liminal space of trying to think, oh, what is the meaning, like this duality. Heart Snacks will be right back. I'm making the meaning and I'm creating my life, so I'm going to say this about it. Like, I don't know, just funny, absurd things. Or just simply like a simple meaning of something like, oh, love, joy. That didn't make that much sense, but I feel like the fifth dimensional space isn't really about words, so it's hard to put into words. But it's really just the experience rather than the words. When you're in that fifth dimensional space, like you just know you're going through all these experiences and you're kind of like weirdly smiling through them in your soul. I don't know how to explain it. I'm not always in that space. Ha ha ha. Sorry, but let me begin to close out because I'm hungry. But thank you guys so much for joining me in this first episode of Heart Snacks for season 2. I am once again so thankful and grateful to be with Spectrevision Radio. I'm so excited for this partnership with them. We're just getting started. So, in the future, I'm sure we'll have like live events and all these fun things. If anything I said spoke to you, you can check out my book, A New Force, Plasma Consciousness and the New Human Potential. It is on my website, danakippel.com, or my Stand store, where you can find the links on Amazon or my website. And that is on my Instagram, which is dana.thealien, or on my YouTube, which is at Plasma Intelligence, or my TikTok at Dana Kippel. Also in my Stand store, which is, at the link in my bio. And also probably you could find the link below in the description. I teach magic classes on plasma and consciousness and, what's the new sciences, what is beyond quantum physics. I kind of mix quantum physics with consciousness, which I would call quintessence or the science of higher consciousness. But really, if we're creating this reality from these, higher realms or other dimensional realms, I would say, if we're creating this entire reality from the unseen, because guys, everything created behind me, all these buildings were once an idea. We need to learn more the science of the realm of ideas. We need to learn the science of these other spaces of consciousness because that's how we heal ourselves. That is how we take our power back. That is how, yes, there's external things, material things that are amazing, supportive technologies, but the real original technology is us. And that is what we have to remember. So I'm a proponent of that. And I teach magic classes about that to try to, remind us who we all are and remind you also that I am a perspective. The power is in you. You are the meaning maker. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know what is best for you. You have all the answers within you. But sometimes in life, when we interact with people, with things, with events, they grow us, they evolve us. So that's why, even though it's very important to know on your own, you are, the meaning. Oh, I should have cleaned my camera. You are the meaning maker. We also need each other in a way to evolve each other because we all have different perspectives. And maybe I have a key that could unlock something in you, and you have a key that could unlock something in me. Even though we're holograms and it is all within us, it's like when we face that in material reality, it will unlock it a lot faster than having to find that within yourself if you don't even have the marker for that or what you're looking for, you know? You know? So, yeah. Magic classes in my book. Check them out. Check out my social media. I make videos on this stuff all the time. And I will be interviewing really fun people. If you're also new here and check out season 1, that was more me interviewing people. I interviewed a lot of awesome people like Stuart Hameroff, who talked about the OR theory of consciousness. Um, my friend Haley, who's a manifestation coach, but she's doing like manifestation in an embodiment way, not in a spiritual bypassy way, which I love. And then there was this guy, Jay Alfred, who talked about dark matter and dark plasma. That was one of my favorite episodes. All of them were my favorite, but yeah, there's just so many cool episodes. Oh, the sun's coming up. With that, I'm gonna go eat my yogurt and raspberry and peanut butter mix I like to make. So thank you guys so much for being here. Yes, just remember your inner power. You are never alone. We are all here together, in some space and time or beyond space and time. But you also have, your higher self. You have all these beings supporting you. And we're never really truly alone. And we have so much magic inside of us. And I hope that this helped you remember that a little bit. And reality is magic. And if you're going through a rough time, I'm so sorry. I hate those times, but I also love them because they grow us. They suck when they're happening. But please keep going and know that, and it's so hard to hear, but sometimes all you need is someone to shock you out of that state of mind and like change your life up for a moment, and you can get out of that dark space. You really can. And you always can. And sometimes you're meant to be in that. But even if you're meant to be in it, you don't have to wallow in it. You can have a higher perspective of it and still make the choice to, get out of bed or get out of the apartment and give yourself some novelty experiences, some new experiences, because we never feel like doing them. But once we do them, they feel good. So I just hope to remind you of that. And yeah, I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day in life and come back and see me, follow the channel, share this with someone. And I love you guys.